the future of music coming out of New York that was so, so, so exciting. Our contributions to American culture beyond hip hop.
Definitely on substances in both places.
100%.
Hey there, it's me, Roxy Cottontail. You might know me as a DJ, artist, designer, and New York City party promoter, or from my bunny logo. I'm putting all that on the table and writing about the years that transformed music and the New York City scene. I've interviewed 250 friends and colleagues I admire. I ask all and reveal all. Please join me and the Tales to rediscover the 90s and the Y2K magical landscape of music, art, technology, and streetwear. This is Roxy's Tales.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Lindsey. Go by DJ Lindsey. I don't know. Now I'm doing other corporate things, but for a very long time, I was just running the streets and DJing for a living.
Goodness. How long have you been DJing for?
20, 21 years. A very long time.
My guest this week on Roxy's Tales is a sister of sound, DJ Lindsey. Bound by the beauty of community and DJing, Lindsey became a resident for me at Sway Mondaze after I discovered her party Negroclash at APT. Impressed beyond measure by her curatorial skills as a DJ and party starter, Lindsey made the Hall of Fame for me, educating folks by way of promoting artists and DJs of color whose origins gave birth to electronic music. Yes, please. Give credit where credit is due. Without further ado, DJ Lindsey.
So I know that you started in the drum and bass scene. Is that
Yep.
accurate? Yeah.
Yep.
Tell
I started out DJing jungle and drum and bass with DJ Rashida in Atlanta, Georgia. Just something about it was just, I don't know. I'm trying to think of how I ended up discovering that because grew up in Arizona where there was no real it's funny. I have these back and forth with Ellie Escobar about music from the 90s, 80s, 90s. And like I feel like my pop music knowledge is so strong because the radio in Arizona was strictly like freestyle pop, divas, and that's it. And like maybe whatever was popular on MTV. So my knowledge of that stuff is very strong. So when I moved to Georgia, I started going out and there was this kind of little baby scene of raves that would happen. So I would just go to raves and it was weird. There would be like rappers or like Dallas Austin out in Atlanta going and they would all be in the jungle and drum and bass rooms. And I don't remember the order of events for this, but there was something where I was like, okay, my dad was really into dance hall and roots reggae music, and I would hear so many of those sounds. I would hear R&B, hip hop sounds, and I was like, it didn't connect until much, much later, but now I know why I was drawn to that style of music is because it is Black music. But at the time in Atlanta, it was really just a lot of white raver kids like in the Gwinnett County or wherever in the outskirts of the city. So yeah, I moved to New York. I had started Frank 151, which was called Frank ATL here. And that was a situation like we talked about before where we were flying by the seat of our pants, but we didn't know the first thing about running a magazine. We just all had been to New York and we're like, oh, this is cool. We don't have like a version of Flyer magazine in Atlanta. This could be like your pocket size. Like we felt like all this cool shit was bubbling in Atlanta at the time. We worked on a few issues together and I was just like, I now have this interest in learning more. I always wanted to move to New York and move to New York. I wanted to learn more about because I have my degree in journalism. And so I was like, I need to know how to do things. Like I can't just, I don't know why I didn't think Frank was that way to do it. It just didn't feel, I felt like I needed to be in New York. And then started DJing out here and there through different opportunities. Like Mike Malvin gave me one of my first gigs in New York for like one of his kind of jiggy parties. It wasn't jiggy, it was more like cool downtown New York situation. And
Was it
I
spread?
cleared the room. I don't even remember. It was somewhere near Chinatown. I walked and rolled my little record bag to the gig, cleared the room, walked back home with my record bag. But like so many DJs now don't get that experience of like, I don't know. I feel like it's a hard lesson.
Yeah.
Who's your crowd? Who are you playing to? And with Serato, it makes it just you can be more prepared and flexible. So
And so you moved to New York, and where were you? What were you doing besides like DJing these random gigs and going out to places that were random AF?
places that I know where I was at. I ended up working doing music PR for Girly Action. And that's, I think, when like a lot of stuff started to click. I started meeting more people and understanding more about like how nightlife, how music in New York City was kind of the blueprint for everything. Like New York is everything ripples out from New York City and like actually being a part of that and like making that happen for small artists was really cool. So when I was there, we represented like huge acts like No Doubt and a lot of rock bands. But then we started, they started to take on marketing clients. And we worked on that first Maroon 5 album on the marketing side. And then started working with Larry T, and he started bringing in all of his Electroclash artists. So Ladytron, Wit, Mount Sims, uh, Miss
Peaches?
Kitten and the Hacker,
Was
Fisher Spooner.
Peaches?
I think so. I think marketing, but not PR for Peaches. I'm almost positive. Like I have all the CDs from that time. Like I actually was at a party like deep in Brooklyn. And my friend, I heard this song and I was like, this is a black girl singing this, but this is rock and roll music. And it was my friend Marielle's, she was having a house party. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And she's like, this band from Philly called Stiffed.
Ah,
And I somehow I got a copy of What You Gonna Do by Stiffed and brought it into Girly Action. And I think Santi is still with the same publicist through that introduction at that time. But just again, to the point I'm trying to make is at that time, there was so much of the future of music coming out of New York that was so exciting and kind of the beginnings of like all of what's kind of still like major pop music sounds right now. Like I think the, mother of Lady Gaga comes through, it is represented in artists like Wit and all of those Electroclash Peaches, that audacity and all of that like grit is all the mother to like who the pop stars are now.
were you in New York for 9/11?
Yes.
You were.
Yep. So it was very weird and surreal to be in New York City at that time. It was so strange. Because for so long, like downtown was kind of untouchable. Like nobody felt everybody was kind of I don't know the last time something like that happened on US soil. And then it was kind of an attack in multiple cities. I think people were kind of faced with mortality and never feeling that vulnerable in the United States. And then everybody kind of just went underground. Nothing was happening. The city was dead for however long while that whole rescue was happening down there. And for so long, I was so close to it and never went anywhere near down there. And I think a lot of people had that same feeling about like, this is a grave site, like something terrible happened down here, and I don't want to go down there. Um, and maybe I don't know specifically the time when that started to change. I think the in those emotions and feelings that people were feeling in New York City at that time turned into like a debauchery, a like people living their lives to the fullest. It just was a perfect cocktail of things to kick off nightlife post 9/11. It took a minute, but then I think people lost their goddamn minds in New York City and it was wild in the streets.
I was from that soon after debaucherous mindset of like, fuck everything. I'm gonna go throw some
Do
parties.
what the fuck I want to do.
Yeah.
And just watching how it changed nightlife was interesting too. Just going from kind of just grimy little spots to big bottle service clubs.
Well, simultaneously, with this like resurgence of just, I think New York having its comeback after 9/11, Sex in the City also, I feel like had a
Oh
huge
my God, yes.
in
100% that of people wanting to move to New York.
yes, yes. So your, beginnings and being authentic to you and where, what you wanted to hear, what you wanted to play. I want to know how you got into, let's say, APT and starting a party called Negroclash.
I remember like before I moved to New York, I stole a bunch of my parents' old records, just stuff that I liked listening to. And while I was collecting um, jungle and drum and bass, I was collecting like West London breaks and broken beat, this more like soulful sound, but very like it would felt like a Missy or Timberland beat, more slowed down but soulful, coming out of London. And I was like, how can I? What is the thread that like binds all of these things together? So just figuring out what my sound was going to be, but also making it so that I could play more gigs than that. So there was that kind of conundrum. And then working at Girly Action at the time, I ended up at Webster Hall for Electroclash Festival. Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
I was standing at the bar. I ran into Duane, who worked at Other Music at the time, Language, who was like that dude at the time. And we were all like backed up to the bar, elbows on the bar. And we were like, this is cool. Like, we get it. We get what we're nostalgic for in this at this party. And we had been aware of it happening in Williamsburg before it like got big and became what it has become. But we were like, where are the Black people? And also we felt like, okay, this is exciting. And so, but where is the sound, like the foundation for a lot of the 80s pop music? Where's the dance, the Black soulful dance music? There was this whole conversation going on throughout the course of the whole night. And we were like, we like Electroclash, we get it, but where's the Negroclash? And so we were like, let's do a party. I was like, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do Negroclash at APT. And then it was just like instant success. And this was the time where people had real budgets. And so we would like go to dinner and we'd be like, okay, who do we want? Who's a legend? Who do we want to book? And so we ended up having like every foundational producer and DJ from the beginnings of dance music. So Juan Atkins, Curtis Mantronics, Marshall Jefferson. Hold on, I have notes. Oh, Larry Heard, Mr. Fingers. We were the first to book him in New York City post Paradise Garage, which was he had done a live PA at Paradise Garage, but Negroclash was his first DJ set in New York City. We had cool DJ at Red Alert, DJ Spinna, Jazzy Joyce, Maurice Fulton, uh, so many legends. Like I can't even believe there's no documentation of that party anywhere. Very little.
I know who you had.
Oh, DJ Techniques and Dookie Man. They came, they brought records to sell, and it was
Amazing.
you know, I was trying to think of when we talked about this before, like, why did we even have Techniques? And it was Africa Bambaataa because he had played a whole bunch of Baltimore club. And Duane was like, I know what this is. And I was like, this is amazing. And he was like, I know we should book Techniques. If you like what he was playing, we'll book Techniques. And so, yeah, the success of Negroclash was a combination of booking these legends. And this, I think we started doing this before Scion was doing all those like hip hop legends everywhere. We
Yep.
really, our intention was to shine a light on innovation and say that a lot of electronic music is Black music. And to say that like all of what was cool about 80s pop music came through these channels, like all of people who, and it's not always, that's not always the story that I'm about to tell was the case for artists, but many times there'll be an artist that would like buy some sort of drum machine or something affordable because there's no music program, and then using innovation to create a new sound, twiddling knobs until some shit sounds crazy and making something new. And so we wanted to shine a light on that before, and it was before people were kind of having this celebration. And I'm so glad that the conversation is happening around, you know, who the innovators are of house music, techno music, all of that, so that young Black folks can feel good about our contributions to American culture beyond hip hop, which we all know and everyone acknowledges. So I don't know. I'm very proud of that party just because we really like wanted to make that statement and did it authentically.
Tell me a bit more about APT.
I feel like if you ask anybody who was going to APT at that time, like they make the same face. It's like it was a place where there was no like specific identity. You just show up and it was this intermingling of people. So, you know, people who go to Electroclash, people who would go to Subtonic or um, just a weird random combination of people, no celebrities, no requests. It was, again, that authenticity, um, which is, I think, why I loved it so much, because it was just people there just showing up and doing exactly what the fuck they wanted to. And APT allowing for DJs to do that thing. So, you know, you had Waffles and Falafels with Babito, you had Little Ricky's Rib Shack. Like I said, DFA had a night, Chairman Mao had a night, Andrew had a night. I remember, like, I think R. Kelly tried to come and they shut R. Kelly down at the door. Uh, Diddy definitely tried to come, shut Diddy down at the door. It was like they knew what was coming for those two fools. So it was just for heads. I don't know. I really loved that place. It was kind of snobby for that reason. People would show up with records and it was pretty much just records. I think at first, one of the first times I played Serato was at Sway. But Sway was kind of a part of this journey of me figuring out what was my sound going to be. And APT was very much like this specific, yes, wow. I think it was an accident. Like APT was supposed to be like a swanky, like mellow bar. And it just turned into something else. And so they then made adjustments to make it more, I mean, it never really was a proper space for like a roaring, raging party, but it just, I mean, it was just like a basement party.
Amen. Yeah. Too many DJs played there too. I think that was part of the DFA.
100%. Yeah.
Like
I
early.
remember that night.
But I think you're right. Like I know Ray Perkle. It was
Yes.
like his idea, I believe, but the owner basically let him do whatever. And so him meeting Alex, who was like the music director,
Mm-hmm.
really that I think all the music that was coming through that it just took off. And it was like
Every big DJ that came to New York of a certain style would play APT.
you playing at APT pretty regularly at Negroclash and then just all these other random gigs.
So random. I was still kind of playing drum and bass here and there for a while. And I think I just felt like as the years went by doing Negroclash, I was like, this also is not sustainable. This is very niche. And going out to stuff, and I think this was a time where open format was becoming a thing where people were like mixing. Because again, I think everybody who was interested in a certain scene would party together now. Everything was kind of mixed together. And so as a DJ, you have to kind of make everybody happy. And like the challenge of playing a sway party would be, again, what is the thread that ties together all of these random, oh my God, them cherry earrings.
Those earrings. You got me a pair of those
I
earrings.
think for your birthday, I got you a pair of those things.
So, you know how we met and how you started playing Sway?
I just, okay, help me with the timeline. Were you doing Sway? You had to have been. You were doing Retail Mafia before Club 11 opened, right?
Around the same time. So, did you play 11 for me first? Or you
I
played Sway
don't
first? Okay.
remember.
I'll
I
have to
don't
look,
remember.
but I'm pretty sure you were probably playing Sway first. And so,
I
Retail
think so. I think it
2000,
was still Retail Mafia or
yeah,
just kind of transitioning into something else, or Girl on Girl was like a subsidiary of
yes.
Retail Mafia.
2004, May of 2004 was the first Girl on
That's
Girl.
crazy.
And I told these boys, I want to do this female DJ night and give me once a month. And so, then that started taking off and then I took the whole thing over. But I also simultaneously that summer was 11 on the Lower East Side.
Was
Okay.
coming.
Yeah.
But also, you had already like kind of built up a reputation. Your ass was everywhere. All of a sudden, everyone's like, "Who the fuck is this girl? Who's Roxy? I don't know. Are we gonna go? Like, are we going though?" So, and then ultimately, like somewhere outside, I was very outside during this era.
Did you ever go to Jackrabbit Slim's? It was next to the Russian bathhouse.
I think so. The name sounds very familiar, but again, this is an era where I was just like, "Where are we going? Okay, I don't know where we are, but this is cool."
Like
So,
the Rough Stars, Vito and Lars
oh
would
my
be
God, yeah.
they
Oh
would
my
be
God, I haven't heard those names in forever. This is crazy.
but they did this Monday night there maybe like for a month and like it just started building up this so like it was too small for them. And so then
Mm-hmm.
also simultaneously Morrissey night at Sway pops off on Sunday and Aaron was adjacent to that and was like, "Man, if these kids can do a Sunday, like I'm taking the Monday." And so then I was like, "Okay, well,
Right.
give me once a month." And so then that all evolves. And I guess, that summer of 2004 was when 11. So that was our Friday night where I think he programmed the upstairs and I did the downstairs, or we switched around. And so we were doing that also. And had a design job that I quit. And so then I just started programming everything. The flyer that
That
I,
flyer is hilarious. 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 Is it just me and you?
yeah, it's just
Or
me.
is,
No, it's
okay.
me and you, but I put our heads on three times each. And it was your birthday.
Yes, I
Aphrodite.
remember this one.
How much Red Stripe? Oh my gosh.
Red Stripe was everywhere. And then Red Bull sponsoring and Absolute Vodka sponsoring every party.
Is it safe to say that Henry and is it Amal?
Amel,
Mel? That they're
Amel.
sway babies.
They're Sway babies. Our first date. I was like, I'm DJing at this party at Sway. You should come. He was getting ready to open Triple Crown and hit me up on MySpace and was like, oh, I'm thinking, I'm just asking around to different DJs about the equipment that we're before we buy it. Like, what's the consensus? Like, what do most people like to play off of? And that was the first time we ever talked. We all went to Triple Crown once they had opened it. And I was like, oh my God. And when we got in the car afterwards, I was like, that's going to be my man, watch. And so I hit him up on MySpace and was like, come to Sway. So, like, the second time, the official first date was at Sway.
This lineup.
From the island. Yes. I used to do his East Village radio show. And then I ended up me and Gabby did our East Village radio show together. What a great ass dude. I feel like I was shook that night.
He was shook. Mark was very nervous. First of all, he was nervous because he was like already getting established in another way that was more commercial, let's say.
Hmm.
And so he was like, and like you came along and it's like you and Aaron and these like cool streetwear kids, and then you had this whole sound from Philly. He was like, it was a little intimidating for me to like play for y'all. And
But
it's like, what? Like
that makes sense though.
yeah, no, it
That
does.
makes sense. Because also, I'll tell my own Sway story. Again, one of the first, or when I first started playing Serato, and I held out forever. I was like, I'm not fucking with this. I don't trust this program. Like anything could happen. And it did. So we were trying to figure out that mixer, I think, was like bolted down. So plugging Serato in its way was a motherfucking nightmare. I bet every DJ, if you ask them, it
Yes.
was
It was
it was
terrible.
hard. And so I would always bring records as a backup. But me being lazy, I only brought a couple. And usually you would bring a couple of like just mid-range songs to play between you and the next DJ. No, it wasn't me. Whoever was playing after me couldn't get their Serato hooked up. But me being the last DJ to have played, I play the percolator. It's the song. I'm like, that's the end of my set. I play the percolator and I'm on the right turntable. I remember vividly because I was like, that's why I don't fucking play Serato. So the left turntable is who is a turntable that the next DJ is going to play on. I'm playing a record on the right. He's trying to figure out, I don't remember who it was because it was a surreal experience. He's trying to figure out how to get plugged into the mixer. I'm like, the song is running out. The song is running out. And the percolator goes on forever and it's annoying. It's like a transition. You don't play the whole percolator. And we get to the end of the percolator. And I'm like, you can just kind of quickly skip and drag the needle back to the beginning of the song. It's not seamless, but it's like a fix. So he's still over there, like fucking with his Serato. And I'm like, oh my God. And everyone's looking at me like, girl, what the fuck? And what's the name of the dude? He was friends with Aaron, all those Supreme
I
dudes. He would
remember
come
this night. Neil Santos.
Neil walks up to me and says, he's just yelling, like, it's time out for the percolator. We don't got no more fucking time for the percolator. Like
I think it might have
yelling at
been
me. And
this
I'm like,
night.
it's not even me. I don't think it was Ellie though. Maybe.
No?
Whoever it wasn't Ellie, I would have remembered. I
Okay.
played with Ellie at Sway.
Yes.
I have zero recollection of that at all. So many highly influential people were there every week, just existing. And then people were coming and just, I don't know, there was just like a vibe. There was just a coolness there. And it just, I don't know what kind of deals and relationships were established there, but just the sheer number of people who influenced so much of what is like huge and popping right now cannot be overstated. Like I cannot say it enough. To me, I was like, I have to come correct every time I play Sway because I know who's there. Whether they know who I am or not, like this is important to me.
APT was experimental in its own way, but then Sway was
Sure.
experimental in this like other way where you could, I mean, people were definitely on substances in both places.
100%.
But you could probably say like, I don't know, you can experiment creatively, completely different in both environments.
Yes. It was like a unique, like I said, that common thread between all of the things that you were doing in Philly. You were bringing random people. You brought Devin the Dude. Just so, and there was no whatever was happening that you thought was cool. You were like, let me find a place to do this thing that I think is fun and interesting and cool. There wasn't like a rule or like a specific genre or style or scene or vibe that you were like trapped into, which I think was inspiring for me as a DJ.
Um, this my mom hosted.
Did she really?
It says hosted by Oxy and her mother, Mrs. Summers.
Wait, I don't think I've ever met your mom.
She was there. You met her. You must have.
outside of the club then. So what made her like I feel like they're very supportive of you and this stuff. I know you've said like she was very supportive of you when you were younger, of being in like rock bands.
Yeah.
But what would make her want to come to this? And why was she not like clutching her pearls every night at being at Sway? Because nobody was really like pampering it down for your mom.
No,
Everybody was,
I think the appeal for her was just my passion for it,
yeah,
and
but most moms would be like, that's
you
cute.
know what she did? She was like, "Do you think I should bring like a snack mix for the bar?"
Oh my
I was like,
God.
"No one's eating."
That's so cute.
I know. I know. But,
How pure.
they're just, she's pure. She is pure. That's what it is. It's like my dad was a little bit more hesitant about this lifestyle I was leading. Of course, any father would be, I think.
Yeah.
And rightly so, because like
Yeah.
who knows what the hell I mean, I think because I probably had a lot of these triple OG dudes looking out for me, I
Yeah.
never really faced probably a lot of what, other women might have faced. I mean, I feel like if anyone, I also remember like whenever I would like book Mano from Chicago and Holt, like those dudes would be like, if someone's fucking with you, like let us know. Like we won't tolerate that, So
Yeah.
I don't know. Like no one was coming for my mom.
Ever.
And what I was also going to say about, I believe, this night is when Mark was on, your partner in crime from Negroclash, Prince Language, Josh, came
Oh, he
in.
showed up.
And at that time, I think, what you guys were doing at APT and what Josh was doing, like his knowledge of music and was like the pinnacle of cool.
Yeah,
And
it's scary.
yeah.
It's scary. And like I mean, he had the records too. So he was knowledgeable about so many different things and like the history of whoever was making whatever, who played this instrument. Him and Duane are both these like encyclopedias of music knowledge. So I think, yeah, I was intimidated every time I played with him. It only made me better. But I totally get, now that you say that, I get where Mark was coming from because if I had to go back and play something like a Sway right now, I'd be fucking terrified. I wouldn't know what to play at all. Because
Um,
again, it was like anything goes.
and so like I know that Duane worked at Other Music and that was also like that was like the DJ's spot, I feel like.
That was like the DJ spot, but also, again, like that time in New York City for like all independent music, they were going to other music and like studying and influenced in a major way by Beans worked there at the time, Duane worked there at the time, and their taste in music helped kind of shape the influence for so many artists because that was the place to go to like dig for, you know, source material for making new music at the time. Not to say anybody was biting or sampling, it was just people would go there for inspiration. And Duane would help kind of guide people like, oh, you like this? You're the checkout, and Duane is the guy that's like old school record store type dude. You should go and you should listen to this, this, and this. So I think almost like a personal shopper, people will come into other music and expect that experience. And so Duane would shape, I think, again, this like unsung kind of thing for people in downtown New York. Duane and the other music as a whole influenced so many bands. I feel like there's actual like interviews of people who mention Duane and saying that they would come to other music and Duane would inspire them when they're making whatever album. Again, what a great foundation to like kind of learn under those two, because it was so much about, it's going to sound very corny, but telling a story. You start in one place and you end in another, and it's all based on like people when they, as they enter the space and how everything is feeling, and you're not pre-planning. You might to a degree, but it's not a set one record after the other that you planned before. And so much like of being more patient and selections and choosing what song is next, more about storytelling and less about like, oh, this person would like to hear this next.
When I was doing those monthlies before the weekly stuff started kicking in, so I was like bringing Hollertronics once a month, booking parties with Aaron. Like I harassed him for a good couple months before he actually listened to the Never Scared mixtape, Plastic Little, Amanda, Spank Rock, all that shit. And when he finally listened to it, he called me. He's like, "When's our first event?" And I was like, "Oh, so you finally listened to the shit I've been harassing you about, you know?" And so, um, one of the first things we did was at that club room service, but it had another name. It was called 9.5 when we did a party there. And
Okay.
someone that had been going to Justine's events started coming to my parties, and his older sister was dating Stephen Lewis.
Okay.
And so Steve Lewis, he went to Steve Lewis and was like, "Hey, this girl has this huge following. You don't know her, but she's going to pack out a room. And so she needs to do a party." And so this place, 9.5, this guy, Chris Rita, who was like a Palladium promoter back in the day, he owned that spot. It was on 21st between Broadway.
It was in the 20s. Okay.
21st between Park and Broadway. I have an email from Leah McSweeney that's like, "Why is your logo on every flyer in New York?"
Seriously. And that's from the beginning. Like I said, like everybody was like, who is Roxy? Before we like it felt like out of nowhere, and then everywhere downtown to where people were like, who is Roxy? And everyone's like, I don't know, but should we go? Because she's fucking everywhere. It was just like repeat events with your name, your flyer.
I appreciate you.
Of course. Thank you for having me be a part of it. I feel like next to some of the other folks that you're talking to, it's cool to be a part of.
Thanks for hopping by. That's it for this week. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, and stalk. Bounce, little kitty.